Hello! Today I'm going to give you some tips on how you should not format your manuscript and some suggestions for what to do instead. Number one is don't use non-standard fonts. Generally accepted fonts are Times New Roman, Courier, and Arial. That's usually it. Even for title pages, chapter headings, your page number with your last name, all those kinds of things. Really, your font should be consistent and should be in one of those standard fonts. Number two, don't use colors. All of your fonts should be in automatic or black. That's it. Number three is don't use a font size smaller than 11 or greater than 12. If you want to save yourself a lot of trouble, you probably should just use 12 to begin with. If you use a size like 10 or 13 or something even crazier, you probably are going to have to go back and change it later, and nobody thinks that's fun. Number four is don't use the space bar to indent your paragraphs. Many word processors will automatically indent the first line of a new paragraph after you hit enter, but if yours doesn't, use the tab key one time to indent that first line. Number five is don't put double spaces between sentences. This is an old rule that's left over from the days of typewriters, where it was harder to tell where one sentence ended and another began. We don't have that problem anymore with today's word processors, and it's neither expected or appreciated to have double spaces in your papers. Number six is don't use special characters that won't show up in a standard word processor. Stick to the standard keyboard unless you absolutely cannot avoid it. Your document over the course of its life might be opened on many computers by many word processors or versions of word processors, and you don't want to make things overcomplicated by using symbols and characters that won't show up in any program that might open the file. Number seven is don't space down your page breaks. Use the insert page break feature of your word processor to jump down to the next page. This way, if you go back and make changes to the previous chapter or title page or whatever was coming before, that page break will be maintained and you won't need to backspace it back up to maintain your formatting. Number eight is don't use an entire line of asterisks or any other symbol for that matter between sections in your manuscript. The best thing is just to use blank white space. An empty line between the previous section and the next section is all you need. If you really feel like you have to put something there, you can use 3 asterisks in the center of the line. Number 9 is don't use apostrophes instead of quotation marks. If you're like me and you taught yourself how to format when you were 12 by looking at your copy of The Lord of the Rings, then you might have gotten used to using single apostrophes around your dialogue. Back in the day, that's how manuscripts were formatted in the UK. But in America and in the UK today, we use double quotation marks. If you have a quotation within your quotation, that's when you can use those single apostrophes. Number 10 is don't put extra lines between each of your paragraphs. This is something your word processor might do automatically, and you'll have to turn it off. It adds artificial length to your manuscript, and again is something that you might need to go back later and get rid of anyway. And number 11 is don't use any kind of background on your pages. Every page should just be a crisp white sheet with your black size 12 Times New Roman font on it. I hope these tips are helpful and you end up with a beautifully formatted manuscript. Let me know in the comments below if you think of something to add to the list or if you have questions about formatting. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching and happy writing.